Hey, I'm Nathan for 5075X Excalibur. I want to talk to you about our States robot. We sadly didn't end up qualifying for Worlds, so I'm making an explanation now. Here's the drivetrain. It's pretty generic, 450, but it's on 3.25, meaning like the wheels are really big and you go a lot faster than 2.75. One thing to note about 3.25 is like the spacing is like really thin, so you have to use like really thin spacers, which is obvious. Which is obvious. There's a traction wheel that we have here. It proves pretty well at States because we did like this. Dude, chill, shut the heck up. Anyway, it proved pretty well at States because we were able to make some like good plays and like push people around. We didn't decide to go with full Omni just because we didn't want to get pushed on like wall stakes, so that's why we did that. Next is the clamp. It's not a generic clamp. It's actually a locking clamp that we made. We made this a little after mid-season, I think after our like roboticon. We decided to do locking clamp just because we did a play where we basically like took somebody's goal and we were like, okay, we want to make this more reliable, more consistent. And we decided locking was the way to do that. This is 2-piston, and then it just has like an over-centering bar pretty much, so it just pushes down and it clamps on. I don't really know the best way to explain the locking clamp, but one thing I will say, I think 99% or one of them has it so that the angle when it clamps down, it's like more straight. I would do the one like that if you're doing a locking clamp, only because it requires a lot of air. So one of these pistons is actually double acting and another one is just single acting. Like they're both double acting pistons, but we only have one pulling it up just because it required a lot of force to pull up. And then also like the amount of weight you add on here would depend on like if it'll unlock or not. So if I like push down and like I try and unlock, it won't actually unlock until I like let go. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's 16.5 watts. We have an 11-watt motor here. It runs at, 600 RPM, so it's also pretty basic. But we decided to do 2-stage just because we wanted to do like 2-ring Lady Brown. But the thing about our second stage is if I stop this stage here, it actually won't go all the way in, and that's because we'll be able to like push the robot further in, and then it gets that second ring. So if we have something loaded into our Lady Brown, and then we can just intake. The only motor that will be spinning is this one, just because it'll be stopped here. We intake this ring. It's pretty jank, but once it's in, and then you're able to score one and then score the other. So that's why we decided to do the disconnect. This is running at 400 RPM, not at 600 like the rest of the intake. But let me explain color sort. So we have 2 codes, one for red and then blue. So we have a red and blue code, and we just start this before the match. But if we end up starting the wrong code, we do have like a reset pretty much that stops the color sort. So we press this button, and then it's on red right now. So that means that I'm red alliance, but if I score a blue ring, it shouldn't color sort. But then if I press the button again, it should now be active. So you see it fly out. So we're gonna take that. So it takes red just fine, blue. It kind of spits it out. Red. So this proved probably really well during stage. If you're able to watch some of our matches, you can see us actually color sorting a lot in the matches. So let's say we're gonna clear out a corner. Clear out a corner and like there's a red ring here, and I want to get to that red ring. I don't need to go all the way around. I can just keep intaking. So the video cut out, so I have to use a different phone. But I was just talking about the intake and the color sort. Yeah, I use this a lot during driver, just because you're able to like cut through rings more and just feel it a lot better. It was also really useful in auto, obviously. So the intake leads into the Lady Brown. It's a half-watt Lady Brown. Some people hate on half-watt. I don't really see the issue with it. Although it's like a little bit weaker, you gotta find like somewhat of a good balance. So it just leads into here, and then we have a little bit of mesh. It is 360, and then we have this mechanism to push it out. You guys may have seen it. We didn't need that. Like we could score normally like without it. So if we use it, we can score normally without it. But we use it so we could score behind the line in auto. But the sad thing about that is we never actually made an auto to score behind the line. But we had that option just in case we wanted to do that. So it just pushes out the ring more than what it is actually loaded in. So it'll load in about like right here. But then as it goes up, this piece pushes the bottom of the ring further and further and further and further and further up. So then the tape is kind of off here, but see if you can get like a, yeah. If we're behind the line and then there, I think that is in circle, and with speed, it'll end up scoring and then go back. Never made an auto for it, but if we wanted to make an auto, the option was there. Also in the Lady Brown, there's like a limit switch. Sometimes if you start the Lady Brown like here or something, like when you're doing your autonomous, then when you reset, it'll be like right here or something like that. And it was just, we added this just so like we could be sure that no matter what, if we need to reset our Lady Brown, it stops here. It tells that this point is 0, and then we're able to just score. So no matter where we have it at, before or after auto, if we end up messing up or like I'm rushing for a match or something, it'll always reset there. Another thing about the 360, it's used for flipping goals. We had two standoffs here, but it was out of size, so we had to shorten it. But it just allows us to flip goals pretty easily. Usually I do it like this, but some people like doing like this to flip the goal. It's just really hard to aim. So I just ended up turning a lot.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the doinker. This was kind of like slapped on right before states, but it did actually end up working really well. It's just one piston, and then we have a hard stop here so that it doesn't like dig into the ground or anything. We have these 2 screws just because it was a full like C channel and we didn't feel like redesigning a lot of things, so we wanted to do a rush, but we didn't actually end up doing that. So I think I showed it earlier, but I'll show it again.
How are you doing?
Doing good, Afnan? That's Afnan. You guys may know him. So yeah, it just goes down, and then it's lifted. I think it's up to about 3 rings, but it still ends up. You know, no, you're good. You'll be in it. It contacts 3 rings, but then it also like will end up sweeping out a 4th. It's not gonna lie. Now that I look at it, it's a little bit illegal. But if I only drive to that much, we're still great. We're not. It's not contacting 2 sides, so we're still good. I'll just show that. So you just. Ooh. Go in and this was good during auto because I think we had a goal side auto that would clear the corner and then we'd get another ring, and most of the time it would leave this bottom ring. Battery placement, it's like angled. It was pretty jank. We actually ended up having like thin metal to get at this angle, but we just did it because it looked cool. Because before we had, it was like the ace brain placement, it was like in the middle here, but then we switched it to be here just because the power button wasn't accessible, and we almost got DQ'd in one of our comps, so that wasn't good. Another thing is color sort. Our color sort does work well because our location of the optical sensor. So usually people have it on the side or like something like that, but we have it a bit as an angle as well, so that it is able to detect it, and then it doesn't really get distorted by light a lot. And then we also have a distance sensor so that it just knows the color, but it doesn't actually tell the hooks to do anything up until this point. That really helped us out, and it was just a lot more consistent. So we're not going to Worlds, but if you are going to Worlds, I would add a distance sensor or a limit switch or something. You may also notice we do have a PTO. We were trying to go for tier 3, but we ended up running out of time. But basically how it works, it's a small piston, I forgot how many millimeters, and then we just have a 46 tooth, and then we have like a bunch of these high shrink collars, so that we can attach the string. Let me stop a little bit. But pretty much the piston on the inside, how do you get a better angle of this? Yeah, piston on the inside, it'll go out, it'll push this side, and then as this one meshes with that part of the drivetrain, this one will also go out and then push out as well. It's kind of hard to like see now that it's in the middle of the robot. I'll see if I can add some pictures of like the early stages. But yeah, it just meshes in with both sides of your drive so that you're able to power this axle with your entire drive. So if you're trying to hang or add something on, that's why we added that, because you need a lot of motor power to do that. Something else we also have is our placement of our tubing. It's right in the middle. It's like underneath our hooks. The reason why we did this is because, like I said, we used to have the brain in the middle of the robot, but then we switched it. But we also needed somewhere to put our tubing, which looked sort of nice. The reason why there's so many is because we were going for tier 3. I never had a chance to take it off, so I just kept it on there. That's pretty cool. And this whole robot is free built. There was no like CAD involved, so it was a lot of trial and error and like a lot of things that I never seen before that I tried this year that I'm glad I did because I learned a lot from it. Such as like the 5-wide drive chain. A lot of teams have it, but it's kind of overlooked on how people get there and how people build it. But it just took me a lot of trial and error to be able to do that because I've never built a 5-wide before. I used to always have 6-wide. And I was like, all right, let me try this out. Let me try the small space. So don't be afraid to try new things out. Even if like other people have things, just try it out, see if it works. That's why I like the free build. But next year I'm gonna CAD more just so I can build quicker. And just, it helps out to CAD and to visualize. But overall, that's it. We didn't make roads, but we will see you guys next year. I'm Nathan.
Nathan, your robot's so cool, bro.
I'm gonna need the audio.
Oh.
You're on video. That's the fake quarter final. Is that the robotic?
I think your robot would have done good with the geo changing thing where it changes, so it goes farther back in.